right, Rabbi, say good morning. Let's begin. So today's daf is Peites. We are beginning in Meretz Hashem the 10th parak of Zevachim, parak Kolatadi, which is going to be beautiful. Our shir this morning is dedicated by Akiva and Dr. Karen Andrews in celebration of their 20th anniversary. Very special because Baruch Hashem, this is a sponsorship from Eretz Yisrael, so a little bit of a connection to Eretz Yisrael as we begin our shir today. We wish the Andrews a happy anniversary and many beautiful burachos and milestones ad mea ve'esim shanim tovos. All right, so let's begin. New parak, new opportunities. Still Zevachim, yes, still Zevachim. Thank you for the meaning. What you meant to say was still Zevachim, right? Yes, so that is correct. It is still Zevachim. Unfortunately, it's not going to be Zevachim for too much longer. So what I see, you do have to chaparain as long as we are in Zevachim, because you look back and it might be another 7.5 years until you see it again. Don't come crying to me when it's over and you missed out. All right, so as I said with that, let's go. So this is actually interesting, this Mishnah, because we're going to speak about a halachic principle that transcends Kodshim, although the source of it is going to be Kodshim. Peites 89a, top of the daf. Anything about, so what the Mishnah is referring to over here is as follows. If I have an obligation to perform two things, in this case the two things are, let's say, two different karbanos, and I have to figure out which one I perform first. So how do I determine the proper sacrificial order? So the Mishnah says, whatever ultimately, again, comes, whatever is more frequent than its fellow, comes before its fellow. In other words, we're both saying, so whichever carbon occurs with greater frequency, whichever carbon is offered more often, that is the carbon which comes first. So the Mishnah now gives examples of this principle. Hatmidin, kodmin lemusafin. So, for example, the carbon tzam, which is the daily offering, comes before a musaf offering. I will say this is all musaf, whether it's musaf of Shabbos, musaf of Rosh Chodesh, doesn't make a difference. The tamid kishmo kenhu is a constant daily carbon. As such, it is the most frequent carbon, and therefore brought before anything else. Musve Shabbos, kodin musaf Rosh Chodesh. So we'll say the musaf of Shabbos is brought before the musaf of Rosh Chodesh. Makes sense. Shabbos is weekly, Rosh Chodesh monthly. Musaf Rosh Chodesh, kodin musaf Rosh Hashanah. So we'll say the musaf of Rosh Chodesh comes before the musaf of Rosh Hashanah. And I will say now, again, even though the musaf of Rosh Hashanah, of course, also has some element of Rosh Chodesh associated with it, nevertheless, it is its own unique carbon, only occurring once a year, versus Rosh Chodesh, which is every month. So Shnei Emar, I will say again, the Mishnah doesn't go through all of the examples, just some of them. Where do we learn this out from? Because the pasuk says, Milvad olas haboker asher liolas hatomid ta'asu es eila. So I'll say, interestingly enough, this pasuk is talking about the musafim, the extra offerings of Pesach. So the pasuk says, Milvad olas haboker asher liolas hatamid, in addition to the morning ola, which is the olas hatamid, the tamid offering, ta'asu es eila, shall you go ahead and offer these up? So you shall offer the musafim of Pesach in addition to the carbon tamid. So the way the Gemara is darshaning this over here is as follows. The lashon of milvad olas haboker seems to teach us what? Milvad means that's already occurring first. In addition to that which is already occurring first, you should offer up these other additional karbanos. So from here you see that the tamid comes before the musafim of Pesach. Why would the tamid come before the musafim of Pesach? It must be because of the concept of tadir, visha eno tadir, tadir kodem. If you have something which is frequent, has to be done together with something that is infrequent. That which has greater frequency comes first. Beautiful. And I do want to point out that actually the Gemara and other places, as we've seen, discuss this concept. But this is the makar. This is the makar for this halacha. So it says the Gemara, minat lon. So the Gemara says, the Gemara asks a strange question. Minat lon. From where do we know the concept of tadir? Right? Kala tadir mechavero kodem es chavero. Where do I know that something that occurs with greater frequency is done first? So the Gemara says, minat lon. Kidduga Amar Taima Milvad Olas Haboker. I don't understand. The Mishnah said this is actually one of these unique Mishnayos where what? I learned the halacha, and what else did I learn? the pasuk, that's the source, or the source for the drasha. So what do you mean when the Gemara asks, from where do we know this halacha? The Mishnah already told me, milvad olas haboker sherli olas hatamid ta'asu es eila. So the Gemara says, dilma tmidin hein dekadmu lemusafin mishum detadiri musafin lemusafin minalan. So what's that? To which the Gemara asks, the truth is, all I know from that pasuk is that the carbon tamid comes before the carbon musaf. That's what I know from that pasuk. So I was like, so remember, because that's the pasuk is talking about. It says that the carbon tamid comes before the musafim of Pesach. So so the Mishnah makes a jump and assumes that halacha lamaisa, you could take this pasuk and you could create a principle from it. How do I know that? Maybe all the pasuk is literally teaching me about says what it says, which is that the carbon tamid comes before the carbon musaf. But lav dafka, that let's say about say, what about in the realm of musafim? Let's say I have a conflict ultimately again between the musafim of Rosh Hashanah and the regular musafim, right? Regular musaf of Rosh Chodesh. How do I know that Rosh Chodesh comes before Rosh Hashanah? Where do I learn that from? To which the Gemara says musafin the musafin minalan. Rabbi Eloi the Amar Kra. Ka'ela ta'asu liyom shivas yamim. So we'll say, so the pasuk says, still by Pesach, Ka'ela, this is the Ka'ela, right? You can say it along if you want, right? This is the Gemara says, Ka'ela ta'asu liyom shivas yamim, lechem ishe la'ashem, ishe reach nichoach la'ashem, alalas hatamid yasev isko. So we'll say, so the Gemara says as follows. So the pasuk says, Ka'ela ta'asu liyom shivas yamim. So the Gemara says, like these, shall you do for all 7 days? So the Gemara says, Ka'ela, Eila, Ka'ela. These should be like these. If you look at Rashi, Rashi says, Rabbi says it's the last of the wide lines on top. E Ka'ela tasu, basar hukra, dimilvad olas havoker tasu esela, ksiv Ka'ela tasu, mashma kiseder sha'amarti lecha Ka'ela shamala, kishem shetadir kodem, Kach seder hamusafim shem yesh yom sheyesh beis musaf can go b'Shabbos shabbos ocharagel yak tadir kodem. So we'll say, interestingly enough, what the Gemara is suggesting is as follows: that the first pasuk, you're right, Enoch Inami teaches me that when I have a conflict between the tamid and the musaf, so the tamid comes first. Then the next pasuk says Ka'ela ta'asula yom shivas yamim, that in general when offering karbanos Ka'ela, they should resemble the structure that these other karbanos are offered. And just like in these karbanos, when I say these, the musaf of Pesach versus the tamid is offered first because it occurs with greater frequency. So too again in general in Hilchos karbanos, even when I have two different musafim to be offered, I look at which musaf is offered more frequently, and that one goes first. The Gemara says, 1 second. V'hami b'ydei ligufei. But I need that pasuk of Ka'ela to teach me its own halacha. But say, what's the own halacha of Ka'ela? Look at Rashi Legufei. Lahatin musaf lezayin hayamim demikra kama yom rishon hu dinafkalon. Both say, interesting. The Gemara says, but 1 second, that pasuk of Ka'ela comes to teach me that what? That I offer a carbon musaf all 7 days. Because from the first pasuk, all I would have known is that I offer up a carbon when? On the first day of Pesach. The second pasuk comes along to teach me that I offer up a carbon on all 7 days of Pesach. So we're supposed to see what's happening over here. We have a little bit of like drasha tension. So on one hand, again, what the Gemara is supposed to say. So just here's what the Gemara is suggesting. The Gemara is suggesting that the first pasuk milvad olas hatamid asher the olas hatamid ta'ases ela teaches me that when I have a conflict between tamid and musaf, tamid comes first. Why? Tadir v'sheino tadir, I should say, kol tadir mechavero kodem es chavero. Tamid occurs with greater frequency, therefore it goes first. So we'll say, to which the Gemara we originally thought that pasuk could serve as the proof for this principle in general. Now the problem the Gemara raises is maybe that only teaches me about a conflict between Ola, good morning Mr. Schoenfeld, a conflict between Tamid and Musaf. How do I know that it applies to other sacrificial conflict in the context of other karbanos? To which the Gemara says, you're right, That's what the second pasuk calls for. The immediately next pasuk. Ka'ela tasu yom shivas yamim. Just like you have this order for the 7 days of Pesach, i.e., that Tamid comes before the Musaf, so too you can learn that from this concept to all other karbanos as well, that kol hatadir mechavero kodem es chavero. To which the Gemara says, but one second, that drasha doesn't work, I'll tell you why. V'hami b'yilei legufei. But say, I need the pasuk of Ka'ila to teach me that there is a karban musaf all 7 days. That's what that pasuk comes for. Because without that pasuk, I would have assumed that what? Based on the first pasuk of Milvad al Saboker, I would have thought there's only a musaf on day 1, but not a musaf on the subsequent days. If I need that pasuk, therefore, to teach me that there's a musaf on all the 7 days of Pesach, that in reality, that pasuk is not free for the drasha you're using. To which the Gemara says, Im Kain, well, if that's all the pasuk wanted to teach me, that there's a karban musaf all 7 days, it could have said, Nichtov, Eila ta'asu layom. It could have just said, Eila, these shall you do for each day. But the fact that it writes Ka'ela is coming to teach me an additional drasha as well. Here's the problem. If the pasuk would have just said, this is what you should do each day for the 7 days of Pesach, Hava Amina, Eila l'shivas yamim. So Eila l'shivas yamim. So I would have thought that's what? I would have thought ultimately, again, it is only these. Look at Rashi. Eila l'shivas yamim. Osan shiva kvasim ha'amurim be'inyan yischalku l'shivas yamim. So I would have thought that the 7 musaf offerings that are mentioned on day number 1 are actually split up over the 7 days of Pesach. Therefore, again, liyom ksiv. Therefore, it says liyom, which teaches me that there are 7 musaf offerings for each day. Vakati ema ele liyom aval shar yomi lo yedana kama. But still, I could say maybe there are 7 karbanos on the first day. The rest of the days, I literally don't know what we're offering. I mean, I know we're offering something, but I don't know what we're offering. Amar kra ta'asu. Therefore, the pasuk says, "You shall do." Sheikol ha'asios shavos, which teaches me that the sacrificial order for all 7 days of Pesach is exactly the same. So we'll say, Abayi Amar Megufa Dikra. So Abayi says ultimately again, no, let's go back and let's learn out the principle from the original pasuk that we quoted. Im kain lemakra milvad olas haboker v'tishtok. So we'll say, if the pasuk just wanted to teach me, if this is pasuk number 1, milvad olas haboker shali olas hatamid ta'ases ela. If all that pasuk was coming to teach me was that when you have a conflict between tamid and musaf, tamid wins, but I can't necessarily extrapolate from that for that same halacha for other sacrificial law, then the pasuk could have just said, Im kain lemakra milvad olas haboker v'tishtok. Let the pasuk just say milvad olas haboker and stop. Be quiet. Asher li olas hatamid lama le'lamemar. Right. So ultimately, why do I need that last phrase? Asher li olas hatamid. So you both say milvad olas haboker. What is the ola of the morning? I will say. What is the ola of the morning? It's the tamid. It's the tamid. So that phrase asher li olas hatamid, Rabbi, is an extra unnecessary phrase in the pasuk. Why is it there? Lama li lamemar dahach ditadira tiktam. So say, interestingly enough, that phrase is being used ultimately to create a construct, to create a principle. What's the principle? I will say. So the way you read the pasuk is as follows: Milvad olas haboker. So now the Torah is telling me that in addition, ultimately again to the musaf I'm going to offer on Pesach, Milvad teaches me I first have to offer what? I first have to offer my carbon tummy. First I have to offer my daily sacrifice, and then I could offer up the musafin. Why does the pasuk then add in asher li olas hatamid? Oh, and by the way, that ola that I just mentioned, the olas haboker, that's the olas hatamid. So Abai is saying, you know why? Because Rabbi say from that phrase, the pasuk's teaching me a principle. What's the principle? Why does the olas haboker? Why is that offered up ultimately again before the musaf? Because it is the olas hatamid. Because Rabbi says, since it occurs with greater tedirus, it occurs with greater frequency. Ultimately, again, than the musaf, therefore it goes first. So Rabbi say, we come full circle, and it turns out that at least when it comes to sacrificial law, everyone agrees with the principle of kol hatadir mechavero kodem es chavero. Whatever occurs with greater sacrificial frequency, ultimately again comes first. And ultimately, again, we are going to learn it out from this pasuk from by Pesach. Milvad olas havoker sher li olas hatamid. Just like the Torah teaches me that the tamid comes before the musaf of Pesach, so too again, Abba say this becomes the paradigm for all sacrificial law of kol hatodir mechavero kodem es chavero. Beautiful. Let's go back to the Mishnah. We'll say now, kind of going along, continuing the theme a little bit, about what happens when you have multiple sacrificial things that you have to do. How do you figure out what is done first? So we're going to continue with this over here. So we'll say next principle. So principle number 1 is kol hatodir mechavero kodem es chavero. And again, everyone's agreeing with that. Greater frequency gets you precedent. You're not precedent, but gets you the greater first. Yeah, gets you priority. Thank you. Says the Mishnah. So here's what's next. Let's say I have 2 karbanos, or 2 sacrificial things that I have to do, 2 sacrificial services, and I'm not sure which one to do first. So we'll say, obviously, the first metric seems to be frequency. Frequency determines priority. So we'll say, what happens if frequency, though, is not on the table? Let's say they both occur with the same amount of frequency. So we'll say, so then the next metric is kodesh, is sanctity. Whatever is more holy than its fellow, ultimately again comes first. So now the Mishnah is going to go through the list. Now here's what's interesting is we're going to see the rankings over here as to what's more kodesh, what's less kodesh, sometimes are intuitive and sometimes are not necessarily intuitive. Obviously, everything makes sense because it's Chazal. So of course it makes sense. Just sometimes you'll see it glaringly in the Mishnah. Sometimes we'll just have to go ahead and investigate a bit more. So here we go. We'll say, look at Rashi for just a moment. So Rashi says, Sheyesh bo tzad ribui kidusha mimeno. So we'll say, because the phrase of whatever is holier than its fellow. So we'll say, which is an interesting statement, because we would assume, there's different kinds of holiness, but ultimately, again, holiness is holiness. To which Rashi says what it means is that there's an element of amplified holiness. Certain things have certain elements of amplified holiness over other forms of sacrificial service. So whatever has a greater form of amplified kedusha, ultimately comes first. So here we go. Get ready. Dam hachatos kodel dam ha'ola. So we'll say, so if you have, the blood, what this means is the blood applications, right? Applying the dam of the chatas on the mizbeach comes before the dam ha'ola. Now Rashi points out to me, and we'll say, now where does this come up? So just so you understand the context, Rashi says, dam chatas kodel dam ha'ola. Im shnehem shchutin va'omdin lizari. So we'll say the case would be, remember, you could have multiple karbanos shechted simultaneously. So you have 2 Kohanim who are shechting, right? One is doing a chatas, one is doing an ola. But let's say again, then one of them has to run out, it's family emergency. So there's one coin left with two kalim, right? 2 utensils of blood. Which one does he do zrika on first? So the Mishnah says that dam chatas comes before dam ola. Why? Mipnei shumeratze. Well, this is actually quite interesting because dam chatos ultimately again has the ability to affect atonement. Chatos affects atonement. You want me to? Oh, good morning, Mr. Schoenfeld. I'm sorry. Very good. That was your father's fault. I know. I was not going to do that on my own. So the Gemara says as follows. So Mishnah says, so dam chatos comes before dam ola. Why? Because we'll say ultimately again it atones. So there's an element of atonement over here, an element of atonement that chatas has over ola, which I will say again is interpreted by the Mishnah as a ribui kedusha. The ability to atone in and of itself amplifies the holiness of the dam chatas over the dam ola. Good. Eivare ola kol min le'imure chatas. We'll say on the other hand, the limbs, burning the limbs of an ola comes before burning of the sacrificial parts of a chatos. All right, so if you look at Rashi, Rashi says over here, so actually not yet, why? Because we'll say the ola is totally consumed on the mizbeach and the chatos is not. So we'll say, so just so you understand this interesting idea. So when it comes to sprinkling of blood, the sprinkling of the blood of a chatos comes before the blood of an ola. When it comes to the burning of the sacrificial parts of an ola are burned before the sacrificial parts of a chatas. Why? Because since an ola is totally burned, consumed on the mizbeach, that is considered to be ripui kedusha, that is considered to be an amplified element of the holiness of the ola. Interesting. Chatos kodemes la'asham. A chatas, Rabosai, is offered up before an asham. Why? Mipnei shedama nitan ledalid kronos va'al yisod. Because Rabosai, by a chatos, its blood is applied on all four corners as well as on the base of the mizbeach. Now, for the asham, Rashi points out, va'al dalid kronos, Rashi says, va'asham beis matanos shein dalid v'lo kronos. So the asham actually only has two applications, and it's not on the horns of the mizbeach. Therefore, again, chatas comes first. Asham kodem letoda ve'el nazir. An asham is offered up before toda, Thanksgiving offering. Ve'el nazir, we'll say that's the nazir offering. Why? Mipnei shu kachei kadashim. Because we'll say an asham is still kachei kadashim versus a toda and an el nazir, which are what? Which are kachim kalim, lower sanctity karbanos. Toda ve'el nazir, kodmin l'shlamim. We'll say toda and el nazir come before shlamim. Why? Mipnei shein ne'echalon liyom echad utu'unin lechem. Because we'll say, interestingly enough, because Toda and El Nazir have a smaller window of consumption and also require lechem, also require bread. So because of that, again, they're considered to have I will call it an amplified kedusha. Hashlamim kodim lebechor. Shlamim are offered up before a bechor offering. Why? Mipnei shein tu'unan maton dalid usmicha unisachim utunufas chazei v'shok. Because we'll say, ultimately, again, a shlamim require blood applications, smicha, nisachim, libations, tunufos chazei v'shok, which means a waving of the chest and the thigh. Habachar kodem lemeiser. The bechor offering comes before meiser. Why? Mipnei shekidushaso meirechem v'ne'echal l'kohen. Because we'll say bechor is sanctified from the womb. Right? Remember, bechor animal is already sanctified still in utero, and furthermore, it is consumed by the kohanim. HaMeiser, we'll say meiser means meiser behema. HaMeiser kodem la'ofos. So we'll say meiser behema comes before any kind of bird offerings. Why? Mipnei shehu zevach. Ultimately, again, because a bird offering, I will say, is not an animal, is not considered to be an animal sacrifice. So, an animal sacrifice will always come before birds. V'yesh bo kodesh kadashim, dama ve'imura. Furthermore, again, I will say, for Meiser Behema, the animal itself has an element, what we say of kodesh kadashim. Rashi says, v'yesh bo kodesh kadashim, it's the first of the widest lines on the bottom of Rashi. Lechelek gavoa beis dvarim. So damo ve'imura mashenkim mechata sov she'en lemizbeach ela dama. So also when it comes to Meiser Behema, ultimately again its blood and its limbs are burnt on the mizbeach, as opposed to an oaf, as opposed to a bird, where ultimately again there's only a blood application. Ha'ofos kod milemenachos. We'll say bird offerings come before mincha offerings. Why? Mipnei she'mine damim. Because we'll say at least bird offerings have a blood application. As opposed to, so we'll say you begin to see blood applications again are considered to be an amplified form of holiness. So bird offerings at least have a blood application, therefore they come before mincha. Minchas chote, kodem la minchas nedava. We'll say minchas chote, which is a mincha brought as a sin offering, ultimately again comes before a voluntary mincha. Why? Mipnei shuba alachet. Because ultimately again minchas chote comes for a chet, which we'll say is another way of saying the minchas chote comes first. Why? Because there's an element of kapara associated with it. You see that whenever there's an element of atonement associated with a particular carbon, that amplifies its inherent kedusha. Chatos ha'of kodemes la'olas ha'of. So we'll say the chatos of a bird chatos comes before a bird ola. Right? So ultimately, v'chein behagdesha. And we'll say, and we're going to see Rashi points out over here, it's actually quite interesting because it's not immediately clear. I mean, we'd be tempted to say that chatas ha'of should come first. Why? Because l'maisa, again, there's an atonement element with it. But yet, if you look at Rashi says, mikray nafla megimar. We actually learn out this hierarchy from psukim. And lastly, again, v'chein behagdesha. Rashi says, kishum mefarish es kino korishim lechatas tchila. But see, when you are bringing a pair of birds, one as a chatas and one as an ola, ultimately, again, the chatas is designated before the ola. Good. So as I see here, we have our entire carbonic hierarchy. So remember again, first we started off with the principle the hierarchy is established by frequency. Now we're establishing that hierarchy is established ultimately again through intensity of sacrificial holiness. Whatever possesses greater sacrificial intensity has greater holiness and therefore comes first. Okay. So it says the Gemara. We'll say pay test on the base. Minahani mili. So I'll say. So remember, we're starting over here with a discussion. Ultimately, Rashi says Minahani mili. The dam chatos kodem ledam ha'olah ve'ivari olah kol min le'emor chatos. So we'll say a little bit of the anomaly that the Gemara is dealing with over here is as follows. What we establish is when it comes to blood applications, the blood of a chatos is applied before the blood of an olah. Now, what was the logic behind that? The logic behind that was the blood of a chatas provides atonement, and the blood of an olah does not. Therefore, the blood of a chatas is quote unquote more kadosh. That was number one. Number two, the Gemara said, yet despite that, the limbs of an olah are burnt on the mizbech before the limbs of a chatas. Why? Because the limbs of the olah are totally consumed versus the sacrificial parts of a chatas which are not. So the Gemara says, what's the pshat? So we know this from Tan Rabbanon, uparsheni ben bakar tikach lechatas. We'll say the pasuk says. So this is talking about in Parshas Ba'aloscha, like Rashi says, the dedication of the Levium. So the pasuk says, "Uparsheni ben bakar tikach lachatas." You shall take a second par as a chatas. So we'll say, what is this coming to teach me? In Balalamed Shem Shnayim, if you want to tell me that they're bringing 2 par chatas offerings, then I already know that Harikvar Ne'amar Vasisa Esa Echad Chatas, the Esa Echad Olah. I already know that we're bringing 2 parim. I already know that we're bringing 2 cows as you offering. Why does he need to say parasheni? To which the Gemara says, Matam alomar parasheni ben bakar tichach lachatas. So we'll say, if that's the case, so remember, what we're asking is a very simple question. Why does the pasuk say parasheni, 2 cow, the second cow, when we already know that we're dealing with 2 cows? And if we already offered up the first as the olah, I know that the second one is a chatos. So what's the pshat? To which the Gemara says, Umatam alomar parasheni ben bakar tikach lachatas. Here we go. Shiyachol she'chatos kodemes l'chol ma'asa olah. I might have thought that a chatos comes before an olah for all aspects of his sacrificial service. Talmud lomar uparsheni ben bakar tikach lachatos. So everyone will say what it sounds like is no. The second part is taken as a chatos, which I will say sounds like what? That the first part, which is an olah, comes before the chatos. So 1 second. So that sounds like olah comes before chatos. I parsheni. So now if you're telling me that the chatos is the second part, Yachol te ola kodemes lechatos l'chol masa. I might have thought now then the halacha is that the chatos comes before the ola in all sacrificial respects. Talmud lomar va'asa esa echad chatos ve'esa echad ola. Therefore the pasuk says, no, you shall give one of them as a chatos, one of them as an ola. Now in this pasuk, what do you see Rabbi saying? That chatos is mentioned before ola. So what you begin to see Rabbi say is that we seem to have contradictory psukim. Which comes first? The chatas or the olah? One pasuk or one phrase seems to indicate it's the chatas first. One pasuk, one phrase seems to indicate it's the olah first. So which one is it? Keitzad dam chatas kodemes ledam olah mipnei shemiratza. We'll say so. The first principle we establish when these psukim is that chatas comes before olah. In what sense? Blood applications. That the blood application of the chatas comes before the blood application of the olah. Why? Because the blood of the chatas affects atonement, the blood of the olah does not, and therefore again the chatas comes first. What about a vari olah? So now let's go weiter. But what did we say? That the limbs of the olah are burned on the mizbeach before the limbs of a chatas. Amai. Ultimately, again, why is that? Why is that? Says the Gemara. So we'll say. So now, what's interesting is as follows. So now, what you're telling me is like this. The blood applications of the chatas come before the blood applications of the olah because the chatas affects atonement. What we're now both say, switching gears for just a moment and asking the following question. Why do we assume that all 4 of the blood applications of the chatas come first? Why don't they say as follows? Matana kamaisi de mechapra tikdom v'hanach lo. Well, say, I have a different idea. All I know is that a blood application of the chatas comes before blood applications of the olah. Both say, when is atonement affected with the zrika, with the blood applications of a chatos? Immediately after the first application. So why don't I say, I should do 1 blood application of the chatos, then what? Then move back to the olah afterwards, and then do the subsequent blood applications following that. To which the Gemara says, Amar Avino, Hacha bechatas haLevim askinon. We're talking about the specific chatas of the Leviim that was brought on the day of their inauguration. And even though ultimately, again, this more resembles an olah, nevertheless, the pasuk says that it should come first. Ben Ma'arava Amri, in Eretz Yisrael, they used to say, there's a simple reason. Hoil v'hischil b'matanos gomer. We'll say that, in other words, we don't have a concept once you begin blood applications, then we say what? We say what? Finish it up, right? Finish it up, right? Finish it up. Finish it up, please. Right. So once you start the blood applications, then ultimately again we go ahead and we finish up the remaining ones as well. So we'll say what we end off with over here, we'll say, is as follows. We've just effectively gone ahead and proven the first halacha, which is that when you have both the blood of a chatos and the blood of an ola to apply on the mizbeach, which comes first? Blood of a chatos. And we'll say logic is what? Because the blood of a chatas affects atonement. The affecting of atonement apparently again results in an amplified form of holiness. Therefore, chatas blood applications come before ola blood applications. So why don't you just do one blood application of the chatas? That's enough. That affects atonement. We seem to adapt the svar of Eretz Yisrael that once you start, finish it up. We're not going to start. If you think about it, also it's illogical. You're not going to do one blood application of the chatas, then jump back to the ola, then do the remaining applications of the chatas. Once you started it, even though really you only need one to affect kapara, once you start it, finish it up, and then go back to the blood of the ola. So the Gemara goes weiter. Ibailahu. Well, so the Gemara says shaila. Dam chatos. Ibailahu. Dam chatos ve'ivari ola. Well, say listen to the following case. What happens if you have blood of a chatos and the limbs of an ola? Eza mehen kodem. So we'll say, hear this interesting shaila. So now I have to. So there's, let's say again, there's one kohen on shift. So now he has to choose between sprinkling the blood of the chatas, applying the blood of the chatas, or burning the limbs of the ola. So we'll say, now you understand the tension over here. When I have a conflict between ola blood and chatas blood, which one comes first? Chatas blood. When I have a conflict between the sacrificial parts of a chatas and an ola, which one comes first? Ola. So let's say, so now here I have a conflict between the blood of a chatas and the limbs of an ola. So which one? I'm one guy. I can only do one thing at a time. So which one do I do first? Ezim em kodem. So do we say dam chatas kodem meishemiratza? So on one hand, I could say that the blood of the chatas should come first. Why? Because it affects atonement. O dilma a vari ola kolmin mipnei shem kalili ishim. Or maybe I should say that what? Maybe I should say that the limbs of the ola come first. Why? Because they're further burnt on the mizbeach. So the Gemara tries to judge this, or tries to come to a conclusion from the Mishnah. So Tashma, dam chatas kodem la dam ola. So the pasuk, the Mishnah said that the dam of the chatas comes before the dam of an ola. The dam ola hu dekadim leivari ola lo kadim. I can infer from that the blood of a chatas only comes first when it's in conflict with the blood of an ola. But if it's in conflict with the ivarim of the ola, maybe the ivarim go first. Adarabba, I could say just the opposite. Miseifa, I could learn out from the end of the Mishnah. Evari ola komilei mure chatos. The limbs of an ola come before the sacrificial parts of a chatos. So the Gemara says, "Mure chatos hu dekadim, ledam chatos lo kadim." When do a mure ola come first? So we'll say only when they're in conflict with the sacrificial parts of a chatos. But if it's with the blood of a chatos comes first. Ella meha leka lamashane. Rather, we'll say it turns out that I actually can't answer this question from our Mishnah. So we'll say you're going to keep a running tab of these questions. We're going to answer all of them. But we'll say, but at least for now, question number one: conflict between chatas blood and ola limbs. We tried to prove that from the Mishnah. I can't prove it here. We'll see the answer. Next question. We're going to do a series of questions. We'll say now, what's happening, by the way, in these questions here is that we're going to mix and match categories. Dam ola ve'emure chatas. So we'll say, what happens if I have the blood of an ola and the limbs of a chatas? So we'll say, so again, remember, what's the case here? Both of these I'm the Kohen. Both of these sacrificial items are standing before me, and I have to figure out what to do first. In other words, I'm one person. So therefore, by definition, I could only do one thing. Which avoda should I do first? So ola blood, chatos limbs, right? Ezmem kodem, dam ola kodem, dekasi mikoach kala. So we'll say on one hand, I could say that the blood of an ola should be offered first. Why, Abosai? Because an ola is fully offered on the mizbeach. Remember, this notion that something is totally consumed on the mizbeach, by definition, endows it with an extra dimension of sacrificial sanctity. O Dilma, Abosai, first wide line, Peites Aleph. O Dilma, a mure chatas kolmin. Maybe again, the limbs of a chatas come first. Why? Dekaasi mikoach mechaper. Because at the end of the day, it has an atonement factor. In other words, we'll say chatas has an atonement. An atonement factor is an element, is an added dimension of sanctity as well. So let's analyze this in the Mishnah. So Tashma, dam chatas chodlan dam ola. The blood of a chatas comes before blood of an ola. Dam chatas with the chodlan dam ola. Aval emure chatas lo. But maybe it's only the blood of a chatas that comes before the blood of an ola, but not the limbs of a chatas. To which the Gemara says, Adrabek, say just the opposite. Miseifa, evare ola kol mile emure chatas. We'll say it says the limbs of an ola come before the sacrificial parts of a chatas. Evare ola dekad mile emure chatas. Aval dam ola lo. It is only the limbs of an ola that come before the limbs of a chatas, but not the blood. Ela mehalek lamashin. Rather, I will say once again, we cannot come to a conclusion based on the inference of Mishnah. So we'll say this is now question number 2. Conflict between the blood of an ola and the limbs of a chatas. So again, left unresolved. Keep your running tab. Ibailu. We'll say next kasha. Dam ola v'dam asham. We'll say now listen to this case. What happens if I have a conflict between, again, I can only offer one, and I have in front of me now the blood of an ola and the blood of an asham. So we'll say, which one should I offer up first? Dam ola kodem de ka'asimi koach kalil. On one hand, the ola should come first. Why? Because it's totally consumed the mizbeach. O dilma, dam asham kodem de ka'asimi koach mechaper. We'll say, on the other hand, asham has an atonement element. And as we've seen before, the ability for something to atone, by definition, endows it with amplified sanctity. So let's analyze this. So Tashma, dam chatas kodel dam ola. Dam chatas comes before dam ola. Aval dam asham lo. But we'll say ultimately again, but not dam asham. Or as we'll say ultimately, it's only chatas which precedes ola, but asham will not precede ola. So the Gemara says, but it's not necessarily. B'dinhu di'ibai lemisnei dam asham. The truth is, in reality, it is possible that dam asham also precedes. So we'll say, now let's go back for just a moment. Why is it that dam chatas comes before dam asham? Why is that? Why? Because ultimately kapara, right? Ultimately, again, there's a kapara factor. Chatas provides kapara. Ola does not. So using that logic, asham should come before dam asham should come before dam ola as well. Yet the Mishnah doesn't write that. To which the Gemara says, "I'll tell you why." The Mishnah should have written it, but it didn't write it for the following reason. But dinu di by leila misnei dam asham. Really, the Mishnah could have written that dam asham also comes before dam ola. So why didn't it? Va'idi di by lemisna seifa. But since it had to write in the end of the Mishnah, evare ola komele mure chatos, that the limbs of an ola come before the limbs of a chatos. Di'itana le'emure asham, because if it would have added in over here the limbs of an asham, hava amina le'emure asham hu dekadmi le'emure chatas lo kadmi. I would have thought ultimately again that the ola only precedes the emure asham and not the emure chatas. Therefore, again, mishum hachi tana chatas. Therefore, ultimately again it says chatas. So we'll say, but what comes out over here is that halacha. It sounds like what the Gemara is saying is that indeed when you have a conflict between the dam ola and dam asham, the dam asham in fact will come first. Why? Because like chatos, it provides some element of atonement, and because it provides some element of atonement, that makes it more kadosh. Tashma, chatos kodem la asham. So I'll say this. So remember again, what did we learn before? That the chatas comes before an asham. Chatas hu dekadma la asham. It is a chatas that comes before an asham. Aval ola lo. But an ola does not come before an asham. So the Gemara says, my lav dam. Are we not referring ultimately again to blood applications? And therefore you're telling me that the blood of an asham is applied before the blood of an ola. Lo aimurim. Not necessarily. We're talking about actually the burning of sacrificial parts. Dekanami diktani mipnei shadama nitan. We'll say not necessarily could be referring to emurim. We can learn this out. Why? Because it says ultimately its blood is applied. Shmamina. So we'll say. So again, this question also seems to be left without resolution. Which is so. Question number 3 is what happens when I have a conflict between the blood of an ola and the blood of an asham. Which one comes first? So we'll say. So it sounded like the Gemara was saying that the blood of an asham will come first because it has the ability ultimately what to affect atonement. But now it's sounding like maybe it's just talking about the burning of sacrificial parts. So again, question left unresolved. Third question, we're going to resolve it. Chatos kodemes. So remember again, the Mishnah said that the chatos comes before. So the Gemara says, Adrabah, Asham kadim sheyesh lo kitzva. So we'll say ultimately again, but still. So remember, we said before that a chatas comes before an asham. But why should that be? The asham should come first. Why? We'll say sheyesh lo kitzva. Rashi says sheyesh lo kitzva l'dama. We'll say interestingly enough, an asham has a minimum value, whereas a chatas does not. The fact that an asham has a minimum value, in other words, you have to pay. Rashi says over here sheyesh lo kitzva l'dama of dichsiv bis kesef shkalim. So the asham has to be a minimum of 2 shkalim, but a chatas could be able to say any amount. So the fact that it has to have a certain value should make an asham more chashuv. To which the Gemara says, the fact of also that you have more sacrificial laws as they apply to chatas makes chatas more kaddish. Asham kodem latoda, an asham comes before a toda. Adrabba, hatoda ve'el nazir kadbi shekain tunam lechem. But I would say just the opposite. The toda and el nazir should come before the asham. Why? Because they require loaves of bread. Afilu hachi kadshe kadashim adifi. But say nevertheless again, asham comes before. Why? Because ultimately again it is considered to be kodesh kadashim. Fine. So we'll say so. The Gemara goes weiter. Toda ve'el nazir. So adrabba. So we'll say toda and el nazir come before a shlamim. Adrabba, I would say just the opposite. Shlamim kadmi. Why? Shlamim should come first. Ken yeshnam, but tzibur could be yachid. Because both say both the tzibur and the yachid could bring shlamim. Yet that is not true. Ultimately, again by the toda, only a yachid brings a toda. Afilu hachi ne'echalin liyom echad adifi. Nevertheless, the fact that the shlamim could only be consumed, the toda and el nazir could only be consumed for one day. Both say ultimately gives them an element of sanctity over the shlamim. Ibailahu toda ve'el nazir ezim and kodem. Both say what about in the category of toda and el nazir? Right? What about the category of toda and the nazir offering itself? Which one comes first? Ezimim kodem. Toda kadma shekin tuuna dalid mine lechem. So on one hand I can say toda comes first because it requires 4 different types of bread that is brought with it. Odilma el nazir kodem shekin yeshimo dam macherim. Or about say ultimately again, el nazir should come first. El nazir should come first. Ultimately again because it has other blood applications. So tashma zu kodemes lezu. Shazu tu'una dalid mine lechem, v'zu eina tuna ela shnei mine lechem. So I'll say therefore the pasuk says that eina chinami, the carbon toda comes first before the el nazir. Why? Because the carbon toda requires 4 different types of loaves, whereas the el nazir only requires 2. We'll say just a little bit weiter. Hashlamim kod min lebechar. Shlamim comes before bechar. Why? Adrabba. Bechor kodem, I would say Bechor is offered first. Shekin kidushas merechem, because the Bechor is sanctified already in utero. V'neachal kohanim, and is consumed by the kohanim. Afilu hachi mitzvos yisieros adifi. Rabbi say nevertheless there are more sacrificial details associated with shlam than Bechor. Therefore shlam comes first. Ha Bechor kodem, Bechor comes before meiser behema. Adrab, I would say just the opposite. Meiser kodem shekin mekadesh lefanav ula'acharav. But I say this is actually a unique halacha by meiser behema, which is if you accidentally miscount animal. Remember, meiser behema is the 10th animal. If you accidentally call the 9th one 10 or the 11th one 10, they are sanctified as well. So that's a unique halacha by meiser behema. So it has the ability to sanctify that which comes before the 10th and after. Afilu hachi kedusha merechem adifa. Nevertheless, we will say that what? That which is sanctified in utero ultimately goes ahead and comes before. So we'll stop over here for today. We'll pick up Emir Hashem with Meiser Behema and Ofos tomorrow, and we will resolve all of the questions we raised in today's daf as well. Shkoyach.